Okay folks, so rather than my normal intro where I say something funny, let me just clarify where I've been for the last several months. Long story short, tree on my house due to Hurricane Beryl. So between doing all the repairs that I was capable of doing other than removing the tree and repairing the roof, I haven't had any time to devote to my channel and put out any videos or work on content. Now I do have several things stacked up ready to go, so those will be coming soon, but you know, I'm not dead, didn't die, just life stuff gets in the way. You know, my life is the same as everybody else's. Stuff comes up and you got to deal with it. But I appreciate all of you guys for sticking with the channel, staying subscribed. Speaking of hurricanes and horrible shit, you know, all of the folks that have been beaten to hell from the hurricane in North Carolina and the 2 hurricanes in Florida, they had it much worse than I did. And the people around my area. I mean, in my area, some of the houses got flattened, but nothing like the damage that they had in Florida and North Carolina. So I'm going to put some links for hurricane relief down in the video description. If you have the means to donate to those folks that have lost literally everything, please help them out. I have been very fortunate in that I was able to get my damage repaired and still have my house, so I'm donating what I can afford, and I encourage you to do that too. Just help out, because some of our fellow citizens are just, they got handed a big old shit sandwich, and maybe we can make it smaller for them. Let's go do something weird on my channel from stuff that I recorded like 4 months ago.
I just said, yes man, right away, anything.
Alright, as for the huge on this channel, we're going to try and make something a little bit weird. The goal is to make Peach Cobbler Moonshine. And I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but I really have high hopes, so that's probably not good. But we're going to try it anyway, because if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I try stuff just for the hell of it to see what's going to happen. I had to think about how I actually want to put this recipe together. It's going to have peach, and then it's going to have a grain component. So kind of it's going to be a whiskey brandy hybrid, brandsky, if you will. So to get that kind of baked good flavor, we're using a grain from Mecca called Metolius. This is actually a Munich style malt. The reason why I picked this is because it has a toasty, bready, and according to them, a graham cracker flavor. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if that actually comes through. And then of course the brandy portion of that is going to be from peaches and brown sugar. So in order to kind of get the best of both worlds, all the flavor from the grain and all the flavor from the fruit, we're going to ferment them separately. And then possibly, I still haven't decided, I've been chewing on this idea for like 2 months and I still haven't decided how I want to do it. Possibly we're going to send them off to the liquor fairy to be distilled together or distilled separately and then blended. I have no idea. I'm still working on it. I think I'm going to make this a Patreon poll and let my brain trust kind of decide on it, because I just can't make up my mind about it. So the full recipe for this one is going to be down in the video description down below. If you want to get some of this Metolius grain, it is not on Amazon. It's only on the Northern Brewer site and I think one other. But I'll put the link for Northern Brewer down in the video description. We're going to use 2 pounds of that. This is not going to be a big batch. This is going to be a small batch test for me to find out if it's going to work and how best to go about it. So what I'm going to do is the recipe that I post down below is going to be for you to make 5 gallons. What I'm probably going to end up with is like 3 gallons-ish, sort of. We'll find out. But, you know, just in case you want to do exactly the same size batch, I got 2 pounds of the grain and 2.5 pounds of fresh peaches. And I didn't know they made this, but Simply makes Simply Peach. And you can also use peach nectar or frozen peach concentrate, stuff like that. So I got about 1 gallon of this, or a little more than 1 gallon of this. That's gonna help to build out our recipe so that we have a lot of peach flavor as much as possible. I got some frozen peaches, I think 2 or 3 pounds of it. And then some brown sugar. So that's gonna be the brandy, is peach, 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 and brown sugar. And I think we're going to invert the brown sugar. Yeah, we're going to invert the brown sugar just to make sure that we get as clean of a fermentation as we can get without any kind of hot flavor that you normally get in a sugar and fruit brandy. So speaking of the peach mash, that brings me to today's sponsor, the maker of the best peach flavoring I've ever had in my life, Olive Nation. So if you don't know, Olive Nation makes a ton of these extract flavorings and a whole bunch of different ingredients that you can use for baking and brewing. They have a whole brewing section on their website. This smells like you just cut open a peach. One of the other things to consider when you're doing a peach or any sort of fruit brandy is a lot of times, despite your best efforts, you end up losing some of that fruit flavor during the process. You can infuse it, you can macerate, all kinds of different things in order to increase the flavor profile of your final distillate. But sometimes, no matter what you do, you're gonna fall short. And the good thing about this stuff is it's TTB compliant, so it is actually used at the commercial level to reinfuse flavors into spirits. So if you have a peach brandy that is just not peach forward enough and you think it just needs a little bit of help to get it over the finish line, this stuff is perfect. I've used their stuff in a ton of different projects for the channel and also in baking for the holidays and stuff. They have some of the best vanilla I've ever had in my life. If you use my coupon code down in the video description, you're gonna get a big fat discount on anything that you buy on their website. So I highly recommend you check out their website and make sure you use my link down in the video description and the coupon code so you can get that discount. All right, so back to the recipe. So first things first, I need to grind up this grain. I think you can order it crushed, but I got it, yeah, I think so. But I got it uncrushed because I'm stupid. So I'm gonna crush it in my food processor because I don't wanna whip out the big giant grinder. When you do it like that, it's not a perfect crush, but I don't really care. My standards are a little bit lower. All right, let's get going. Okay, so now everything is cooled down and ready to go so that we can throw both of our mashes together and get them fermenting. Now on that peach mash, I would normally use a yeast like K1V1116. I thought I had a crap ton of that, but what I have a ton of is EC1118. And I don't want to use that one because EC1118, it ferments very cleanly, but also it's really, really fast. Because it's so fast, it's going to actually boil out a lot of those really delicate aromatic fruit flavors. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna go au naturel. If you've watched my channel before, you've seen me do sourdough a couple of times. And the reason why is because it's natural wild yeast that's just in the environment that I use to make a sourdough starter, but it also has a ton of lactobacillus in it. So you get more acids in your final mash. And acids, when they go through distillation, hypothetically, actually convert into esters, and esters are the flavors that you want in your final distillate. So, yeah, sourdough. It's not just for baking. So the yeast that we're gonna do for the grain wash is just gonna be some good old daddy. And we don't have to add anything to that. So let's go ahead and get that one done, and then we'll get this peach going. So if you're paying attention, you probably noticed a couple of things. On the grain wash, I left the grain in there. I didn't strain it out. And honestly, that's because I want to get as much grain flavor in there as possible. And when you ferment on the grain, you can't help it. It's just going to get in there. So with the peach juice and the sugar and the water, I have no idea what my gravity is going to be. So we're going to test it. 1.080. So that's pretty high. It gives us a potential of like 11 or 12%. I don't know, I'll put the exact one right here. If it ferments out to dryness, which I do think it will. One other thing you might have noticed, I put in some pectic enzyme into the peach wash, and that is to break down the cell walls in the fruit so that you get all the juice, all the sugars, all the flavor out of it. And the very last thing you might have noticed was I left all the skins on the fresh peaches, and that is because they are packed with flavor. The skins hold a shit ton of flavor, so you want to leave them on there. Anyway, we're just going to close these up and let them ferment for about a week, maybe 2. We'll see how that goes. And the Patreons will have a chance to vote on whether or not they think I should distill this together or separately and then blend it at the end. So I'll see you in a minute.
3 weeks later.
All right, so before we get to the blending and tasting, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, all of you guys down here and anybody that's not listed. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredibly long drought of videos. I am so grateful, and not joking. You guys are keeping my lights on for me. Thank you so much. So remember, this was a smaller batch, so we ended up getting 2 jars of peach from the Liquor Fairy, and 1 jar of the whiskey from the graham cracker-ish grain, the milletolius grain. So let's give these a smell and a taste and see what we got going on, and then blend them together. This is the peach. Oh, that is nice. Good and peachy. All right, so let's smell the grain. I am getting some graham cracker in this. Man, that is weird. Yeah, it's like dry graham cracker, like I just opened the package. Not the cinnamon kind, but the straight graham cracker. Yeah. Wow. That is really cool. Let's do a little experiment here. See if I can trick my brain. I got the whiskey and the peach. Oh, that is weird. It actually makes the peach come out sharper with having this as a contrast. That is so weird. All right, we're at 50% ABV. And honestly, I don't really see the point in going any lower than that right now. See the legs on that? Okay, so I'm gonna throw a little bit of water in this to kind of pop it open a little bit. Yeah, it almost smells like the skins of the peach. And I'm getting some of the grain, that graham crackeriness. That's my new word, graham crackeriness. Wow, first thing is there's a lot of implied sweetness with that. It's very rich, very smooth, soft mouthfeel, and just a ton of implied sweetness. The peach comes in and kind of washes across, and then that grain kind of follows up at the end. And it's actually really good. I think Peach Cobbler is probably the most accurate description of this because of the grain character and the heavy fruit character. I'm actually really proud of this. Yeah, it's a Bransky or a Wendy. This is definitely worth doing. And honestly, I kind of want to play around with the types of grain. What if you made a dark porter as your grain, as your whiskey component, not without the hops? So just the grain bill for a dark porter, and then combine that with your peach or apple, or, you know, I've made an apple whiskey before, and that was really good. But the one thing I haven't done is kind of dig into complex grain bills for that. So that might be something we do in the future, just to see if we can find like the perfect fruit and grain recipe. We'll be chasing that one for a while, I think. So as good as this is, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, just age it. I want to, and I might, but I have one other thing that I want to try. So let's get that going. Okay, so that's done. You know how you make apple pie moonshine? We're doing the same thing. We got fresh peaches, some brown sugar, and some cinnamon stick. If you want to pour some of that peach juice in there, you can. I want to try it without that, just because it's going to make a clearer product in the end. So yeah, we're just going to let this sit for a couple of days, and then I'll probably pull that cinnamon stick out so it doesn't overpower it. We're just going to let those peaches sit in there until, I don't know, Christmas? We'll see. Let's get it shaken up so we can get all that brown sugar mixed in there. It's 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 peach, and 1 cinnamon stick. And then we're also going to add in just about 2 or 3 drops. 1, 2, 3, we'll go 4. 4 drops of that Olive Nation peach, because ultimately this one is kind of the party drink, the pass around the campfire kind of drink, and you know, it's the easiest to share. It's got the most identifiable flavor, and like I said, it makes it so much easier for, you know, your person who is not into distilling, hypothetically, to identify it and to get on board with it and say, wow, this really is peachy, you know, or whatever. But once every couple of days, give it a little shake, get it to, you know, move around a little bit, and the ethanol is going to pull that peach juice out of there. That's why I didn't want to dilute this one. It's at 50%. Once the peach juice leaches in there, it's probably going to be closer to 40. And then if you want to knock it down a little bit more, you can always make a cocktail out of it. You know, a little peach juice, ice, and then your Peach Cobbler Moonshine, maybe a little mint leaf in there. For the other jar, we are going to age it, and I've got some oak that I need to get out of this sorghum whiskey that I made in a previous video. Link to that one right up there. And this stuff is just dynamite. We're just going to drop this used oak into our peach brandy, and we'll let that sit for, I don't know, 6 months. What do you think? That is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, if you thought it was interesting, do me a favor and hit the like button, because it really helps out the channel. If you have any questions or comments, you want to tweak the recipe, maybe you've done your own whiskey brandy hybrid, you want to talk about it, post it down in the comments. Hi, baby.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon right next to it so you can get notified when I post new content. The goal is to make it much more frequently. All right. Thanks for watching. Pray for patience. I'm just going to have a little baby sip. That's going to knock people on their butt.
There it is. Ooh, that smelled like and smelled liquor. That was the dad said.
Yeah.
And so I stirred that up. He said, "You think you stirred it enough?" Never enough. Look here.